So we go to 11.
Southfield Redevelopment Authority Board of Directors meeting and special permit granting authority and variance granting authority to order Wednesday, December 6, 2023 at 7 p.m. First item on the agenda, I just want to let the board members know apparently we're being recorded. It's not a recording done by the SRA, the public authority, private recording, just so you're aware. Open session minutes for November 15th. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Cavallari. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, Bob and Monica, you abstain?
Yeah.
That's unanimous for 2 abstentions. Next is special permit granting authority and variance granting authority. Public hearing continued from May 3rd, 2023. CP Endeavor Holdings 18 LLC joint application for development plan and site plan approval in the application for variances of proposed 99-room hotel. We've been notified just earlier this week. Jim was notified that the applicant has requested a withdrawal of the application without prejudice. Do you have any comments on that, Jim?
No comments. As you know, this is continued from May, and there's been no correspondence since that time, so I think it's recommendation to withdraw without prejudice is warranted.
Okay.
Motion to accept the withdrawal without prejudice.
Motion, if we have a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Excellent. Next is a project update from BPD Union Point, and I'll turn it over to the development team.
Can they introduce themselves? Because I
Yes.
haven't seen them in a long time.
Absolutely.
I was with them every day.
I get the feeling.
Go ahead, start with that. That's kind. I like it. That was a kind start. That's good.
Fine. No, that's good. I'm John Tuick.
Can you spell that?
Thank you.
Do you have a presentation for us tonight? We'd love to see it again.
You know, I know you would. We had that debate. Do we want to show them a presentation? Because they're all going to probably throw up and leave. Yeah, we've seen it.
We can fill in the blanks.
I think we could give it by now.
Okay. That worked out all right. So. Tim
Amen.
Sullivan, Paul Sucata, Tony Green, how are you? All thank you. Tom told me to be mercifully brief, but we thought it would be just helpful to tell you where we're at. And I mean, the first part, I know from everybody on the team, wanted to say thank you. I mean, everybody in this room did a great job. You know, starting with Weymouth and moving through with Abington and Rockland. I affected, you know, every one of you came to different meetings and showed up and talked to people and, you know, supported the effort, you know, all starting back in March, but then going through the town meetings. And Roger, great job how you know, worked in Abington and efforts and all appropriate and just, you know, procedural and, you know, Chris wanted to come to every one of the meetings and you know, we had some moments of difficulty, you know, with some of the folks and, you know, some great union support, people who felt very strongly about the, you know, the benefits of the project. And I think everybody knows, I know some of you may have participated more or less depending on the Rockland Town meeting and the Abington Town meeting, but I think overwhelming support in our last vote in Rockland, which was great, and 85% of the vote, you know, was. And you know, it's similar numbers in Abington, you know, really, no question about the level of support, and then obviously in Weymouth, through the town council, through all the planning boards, the finance committee. We did get unanimous support from all the planning boards, all the finance committee folks. I mean, you don't often and always get that. And I think that's a testament to a lot of the work that you all did in assisting us with that. So thank you for that. We're in that stage now of, on the town meeting side, just to give you 3 kind of quick updates. They take that, the clerk sends it in for approval from the state attorney general's office. So those processes have started. And we're still working with Weymouth. We have a meeting coming up, 2 meetings actually in Weymouth. We're not attending December 7th of this week. There's a meeting tomorrow where they have a subcommittee of the council who's going to talk about, I think they want to talk about fire, police, and those types of things. Tomorrow night, we are appearing on December 11th to talk about stormwater, water and sewer, and traffic. They hired their own consultant to look at MEPA filings and a lot of the reports and information that we submitted to you. They're looking at those. That's going to be on December 11th. Our expectation is that Bob Luongo is going to give a little presentation. I'll give a very brief one. And then Pat Brennan, who many of you know, who was hired independently, as well as a traffic engineer who was hired, and others are going to give a peer review report on Monday, the 11th, of their findings on water and sewer traffic and stormwater. Which are the three, if you think about it, those are sort of the three biggest things that are in MEPA filing. So that's going to happen, and that's what we're doing in Weymouth. That'll be over the next couple of weeks. Because related to that, we have been working, Chris made a joke about our casual dress, that's true. We've been in a room since 7:30 this morning drafting, redrafting for the 10th or 11th time. Our MEPA filing, I mean, we'll have about 1,100-1,200 page document that will be going into MEPA, which will cover everything from water, sewer, transportation, stormwater, environmental justice, sustainable design, greenhouse gas, resiliency, construction impacts, noise, air quality, everything you could possibly imagine at the base will be filed as part of that. The base document is about 250 pages, and then there's about 800-900 pages of exhibits that are all the reports and appendices and tables that back up. We have been working on that really all along, obviously focused on the town meeting votes and working with Weymouth, but we kept going and we've sort of driven everybody to hopefully, we're gonna file it this year. So we're running out of time, but we are gonna file, and that's why we've been doing marathon sessions to get it done. We've also been meeting with MassDOT, we're meeting with Natural Heritage, we have another meeting with Natural Heritage next week to go over the program and open space and habitat and the like. We've filed a package with MassDOT on Monday, so that MassDOT will look at the various intersections. We've done 4 phases of 51 intersections. Some of them are very simple, signal timing, some are complete rebuilds. So all of that will be going in. We're obviously going to get you all a copy so you can see that. It will be published probably in January, and then a comment period, and then we'll start that. We're asking for, it's going to be a notice of project change. We've met with the secretary, the director meeting a couple of times, and they've approved us doing a notice of project change, and hopefully we can respond to comments. Our goal is to get it all done in 2024. So that's just sort of the, we are always very cautious about, you go through the kind of process that we've all gone through the past few months, sort of a lull when people say, what are you doing? I mean, because a lot of it sort of goes into that great dark hole of, studying traffic and preparing mitigation charts and talking about passive house and how we're going to treat, heat pumps. And I mean, that's a lot of what you're right. I mean, we've got 37 pages on heat pumps and greenhouse gas and percentage implications and sort of what we do. And we're sort of in that stage of doing all those things, and we'll continue to do that. There'll be some public meetings, there'll be a session on that, so people will sort of see that. So a lot of things, a lot of focus on MEPA, obviously finish up the town meeting pieces, working with all the regulatory agencies. A few other things that you should probably know about. A little bit of update on Weymouth, where, this is in, obviously, your MEPA report. MWRA, working with them, we actually were with the mayor last week, meeting with EPG, who was part of, you're paying for their consultant time with Weymouth on NWRA, working with them on scheduling, timing, and filing for the report that has to go in. They'll file, hopefully, an expanded ENF, requesting a single EIR. To get that done, they have to do it into basic transfer because of where the water comes from, and they're working on that with the mayor's office. At the same time, we're also working as we are required to. Yes, absolutely.
And status of the application filing to shape the
Well, that's
language out
what
of council?
We understand that that is being scheduled, so the council to vote on support of the application and moving it forward. EPG has independently been doing its own work. We have asked them, strongly suggested to them that it should be filed in the first quarter of 2024 for the application.
So under a new council president?
It will be under a new council president, that's right, but it will be filed under 2024.
If you can expect it to come up and comment on Monday?
Yes. We imagine that.
Dance well.
Water and sewer are, we're going to hear and fully expect commentary regarding where's the sewer for, Brockland going to go, Abington going to go, how's that going to work. I think we'll hear all of that. I think we'll hear all about discussion about the MWRA, and is that a good idea or a bad idea? We're required to study it no matter what, because it was part of the scope and part of our certificate, in the same way we're required to study aquaria, because that was part of our LEPA scope. And we are still continuing that dialogue with the aquaria folks to bring water because I think we have to, as good stewards, and I think you would say the same, one never knows what's going to happen in the political world, both on a local and state level. So we have to be prepared to have alternatives, because we don't want all 100% of our eggs in one basket, because we just don't know. So we are working on that. We actually met with Aquaria 2 weeks ago and a month ago. So we'll continue with that piece of dialogue. So you'll probably hear some press about the MWRA. I know the mayor and the mayor's chief of staff is working very hard to get scheduled a date in Weymouth for the MWRA application. So, and we're working with EPG to talk about their scope and how they're doing it, because some of the things that they had suggested we didn't think they had to do. I mean, I'll get a minutia, but we'll spend some time with them, and we'll be spending some more time.
Throughout the election, we clearly heard the councilors were in favor of the MWRA application, with the exception of the council president.
Correct.
So,
We understand the same, and we imagine that will be heard tomorrow night, Monday night, and in the future. But, I mean, and this is just subjective commentary, but Weymouth has to do something. I mean, the answer
inaction
can't
is
be.
not acceptable, right?
No, I mean, and that's true for the entire South Shore. I mean, really, if you don't do something, okay, but we're gonna all run out of water, so that's not gonna. So you gotta do something. And I think there is political support and state support for that at this moment in time. And that's, I think, very important for the region. So, yes, and so I imagine we will hear all of that going forward. Natural Heritage, I mentioned we're meeting with them on December 13th. I had a new package filed with them about 2 weeks ago. Very similar to what you saw, the same kind of acreage, 104 acres of open space and restored grassland areas, taking the debris piles down, redoing all that, having a program. So all consistent with what we showed throughout the process, and that's what our filing is, and that's what our MEPA filing is. So I know people were concerned, well, are they really going to do that? Well, they're going to see it in the MEPA filing, so that's exactly what we're going to do, and all the plans are going to look exactly like they did before. So we will continue to do that. Navy, just a little bit of update. We're going to be paying the Navy about $900,000 come plus or minus, Eric?
Yep.
Plus or minus this month. Because that's in the escrow account. To continue that, we have 30% design plans for the dewatering facility. But we'll keep pushing on that. There's some questions on that from the regulatory boards, which we got to keep working through. But we'll keep that going on for Navy going forward. And they're costing and cleaning up, and some more land came in, and Jim was mentioning that. So continue to work through that. That's going to be a process. So that's no two ways about it. Outreach, as I mentioned, what we have in Weymouth, we've got a lot of interest from Faringway and the like, that people would like to stay engaged. And we're going to continue to do that, do some updates. We think after we file MEPA, that gets around a little bit, maybe sit and talk to people and explain what we're doing and some of what our thoughts are going forward in 2024 and what our dates are and what our key milestones are. We just think that makes sense to do the same thing in Abington, do the same thing in Rockland. We're obviously going to be talking to various community leaders and the communities themselves, asking them to support letters, because there'll be a comment period. We'll go through sort of Christmas period into January, and we're gonna ask people for support letters. And the last one of our sections, I think we had 220 pages of response to comments from the 2017 certificate, where we had to chart each one and list the response to each one. I imagine we'll get a few letters on this one too, so that we'll have to do those responses to comments. So we've got most of them drafted. We're redrafting some today, but we'll get those in too. Good news is all pretty consistent with what we've been talking about, and the answers are very consistent, impacts are very consistent, fiscal is very consistent with the issue, although that's not going to be an issue per se, but it was a response to comment. So that's kind of where we're at. I should stop talking because I've talked long enough, but I can answer any questions.
Any questions from the board?
Is there anything required or desirable that we do in this process, given that we're at the nexus of being a joint applicant of MWRA and
That is one thing I did want to mention. One of the comments that came back in 2017, historically, Tri-Town, looking at prior L-Star, was a joint applicant for the state approvals. Now, L-Star did not do that. Well, it's one of the questions I think we asked. I don't think you have to be necessarily a joint applicant, but interesting that the SRA potentially is an NWRA, at least you are a co-applicant with the town of Wayne. That we thought, and we were going to ask you, when appropriate timing comes up, if you could, one, obviously we would like you to issue a letter of support, but also join with us in this, because there may come an opportunity and that the SRA, for example, becomes the water company and becomes that for the base. That was always, and you are a joint applicant, so very much you're sort of, and you control a lot of the land, and we have an E&A, yes, but we were gonna ask if you would consider the board authorizing, perhaps, Henderson otherwise, to issue a letter of support and to join in, and the consent to the application. I don't think we need it technically, but I think it would certainly make MIPA feel that, okay, the SRA is supportive of all this, right? Because although we all have lived the last, 9-10 months, MIPA has not. And one of the, it's funny, they asked us, have you had any community meetings or talked to anybody?
Let me get some videos for you.
And we did list it, and it goes on for 4 or 5 pages. I mean, we're well over 100 community meetings between, some small meetings and small groups, some big, but it was a funny question. Well, have you reached out to any of the community? Have you held anything? You've been on TV at all to talk to people? I said, yeah, we have a few times.
You should package a video package together.
Really, it's a list now, but, because again, from MIPA's perspective, they don't, some people don't.
Yeah, right.
They don't engage with the community, and they just make a filing and hope nobody notices. I don't think we've hit ourselves under the rug at all. I think everybody's sort of seen and heard ad nauseum, maybe, some of you, what we're trying to do. So I would ask that you maybe consider something like that would, sort of join in and consent, and obviously eventually when the letters.
Make a motion to do that now?
yeah, that seems appropriate.
Yeah.
If that's a motion, Pat, I'll second it.
So it's a motion to offer a letter of support signed by the chairman, subject to review of Attorney Allen, maybe.
Yeah.
Fine.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
So I think that would be very helpful, and we're going to ask, obviously, the folks in the communities to do the same. We feel that the support in the communities was significant enough that, they wouldn't have an issue. Because when we looked at the 200 and some odd letters that got submitted in 2017, they were from all kinds of folks, and, leadership in the community and otherwise. Other questions?
Questions from the board?
I was just gonna say, I'll get it on next agenda if you want, with Selectmen and Abington.
That'd be great, we'd love to get, Kevin and crew to, issue support, because the comment letter, comment period will be open for a while, but we want to get that. I think it's
They
important.
meet the 13th, I think,
Yeah.
or 11th, whatever the Monday is.
Yeah, that would be great, because we need folks to, because again, they're very interested in the deeper questions. They're like, does anybody know about this? What do they know what you're doing and stuff? One thing going through a town meeting process, it's not easy.
No. Any other questions from the board? Comments? Seeing none. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Again,
Appreciate it. Look forward to hearing from you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Back to the office.
Yeah. Next, we have a public hearing. I'll open the public hearing. All right, so I'll make we need a motion to open the public hearing for the classification of property for Southfield district tax. We have a motion.
Motion to approve?
We have a motion. We don't need to open the hearing first.
Oh, motion open the hearing.
All right, do we have a second?
Sorry.
That's okay. Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, okay. So the hearing is open. Mr. Ha, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, great. I'm looking for a couple votes tonight from the board, please. The first one is for you to set the residential factor to 1, which will result in the same tax rate for commercial and residential property. I'm expecting a rate of less than 50 cents per thousand when we're done. I am still awaiting 2 of the other towns to finish their tax rate process. But outside of that, that's not required to set the factor here at this point in time. Fiscal 2024's valuations for our district within Weymouth, Rockland, Abington increased by $59 million to $578,096,890 from $519 million back in fiscal 2023. This is good news considering that we did take some land, about 74 parcels, which ended up being as tax exempt. Obviously, when we took it, the land was a fairly low value due to having restrictions on it for open space, conservations, and that type of thing. So I'm looking for someone to move on the proposed motion that's before you.
I'll make a motion that the board, oh, sorry.
Just,
questions?
any comments from the public?
Yeah.
Because it's a public hearing, so, seeing here and none,
I'll make a motion that the board of directors move to set the residential factor to 1, resulting in the same tax rates for commercial and residential property, but less than or equal to 50 cents per $1,000 of property values.
there's a motion to a second.
Do we have to close the public hearing before the
You can do it after, it's either one, you can. So, we have a motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Motion to close the public
We
hearing.
have a motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
That's
And the next item that I have is a budget amendment. I get the estimated numbers from Unicap for the pledged revenue and offsetting debt line that's to be funded, raising it by $28,900 to a total of $1,175,000. As you can see, the amended budget that you voted back on June 7th, I did take the time to readjust the amended numbers on the right-hand column there so you can see the effect on it. But the motion is actually on the first page there, which allows us to raise both the revenue coming in, pledged revenue, as well as the offset to the line item for debt. The majority of this does come from the town of Weymouth. They have been made aware of this well in advance at the beginning of their budgetary period. I did verify that again with James Mallory today, so they are on board with that.
a motion?
Motion that the board of directors moves to raise and appropriate $28,900 from additional pledged revenue to increase the revenue source of the offsetting debt line and item to both $1,175,000.
A motion to a second?
Second.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, it's unanimous. I don't have, is that it, Eric, you're all set?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for your work. We have no topics not reasonably anticipated by the chairman 48 hours in advance of the meeting. Next, we have executive session to discuss strategy with respect to pending litigation that is otherwise demonstrable likely where an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining and litigation position of the Southfield redevelopment authority pursuant to the Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21A2, with respect to SRA versus L-Star Southfield LLC. 2, to consider purchase, exchange, lease value of real property, disclosure of property itself would have a detrimental impact on bargaining position of the Southfield redevelopment authority and not to reconvene an open session. Do we have a motion?
Motion to go into executive session, not to reconvene.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, roll call vote. Roger?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Pat?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Monica?
Yes.
Phil? Yes. And I'm a yes, that's unanimous. Thank you.